My name is Matthew West. I am a dad of 3 kids who I love sports. My oldest plays travel baseball, so we are super involved with that. Little League, he played football, so always on the go. I love hunting, I love fishing, outdoor activities, spending time with family, and music is a huge part of my life, and also involved in church, and I played on the worship team there several times, and really enjoyed that as well. Yeah, so Suicide Awareness Month. I think it's easy for us all to kind of say we understand, or kind of have the tendencies to want to talk about it and encourage people to tell their stories and encourage people to reach out if they're struggling. And I think it's a different thing when we get involved alongside them and give them a space to do that, and be able to actually encourage them along their journey. So September being Awareness Month, to me, means that it's a time for us to be able to partner with them, instead of just asking them to reach out if they want to. It's really providing a space and safety for them to do that. Yes, so 2 years ago, July 19th of 2018, suicide became very real for us. Before that, I would say that, had an understanding of it, we talked about it, and I would say that, like, oh man, my heart really breaks for them. But if I was being honest, I would say that my understanding and my job, so to speak, kind of ended with that. Until July 19th, when I came home from work, and I had found that while I was away at work, my wife died by suicide while I was gone. In an instant, everything changed. The life that we knew as chaotic or as broken as it was, now was over. And nothing can really prepare you for that. My kids at the time were 13 and 7 and 3. So my 3-year-old, matter of fact, had just turned 3 just 2 weeks prior to this. So, while you really don't have time to stop and grieve the process right away, because you have to go into fix-it mode. Stuff has to be done. There's houses to sell, vehicles to sell, stuff to go through. And that's not even your emotions. That's not your kids' emotions. That's not your kids' friendships. That's not, the fact that now every day your kids wake up without their mom at home, or go to bed every night without mom at home. So it changes things really quickly. So it affected us, and actually affects us as we go along. Everything you do, there's always this tied to it. Kids have first sports seasons without mom. They have going to school, first day of school, that was always a huge thing. First Christmases, first birthdays, all of that. It turns days of celebration into days of still celebration, but there's the grief behind it. And grief is a weird thing. They talk about grief being like a wave, or like an ocean, like water. And it really, you can kind of understand that, but when you sit in that, that really is like how it feels, because it is like the tide coming in, and it becomes overwhelming very quickly when you allow it to. I think there's obviously ways to cope with that and to allow the grief to happen, but still be able to celebrate. Still remembering that the kids have to grow up. So for a while, we started football right away after, and my 7-year-old really clung to that. So making sure that mom was there. My sister actually got everyone a bear, and so the kids would take that with them, like when we went on trips and things like that. So just finding ways to honor mom in the grief and in the loss. My advice was something that I learned really quickly after. I had gone to, one day I was like really struggling, just didn't know what to do or who to talk to. So I was looking up different churches. I needed to go to a Bible study. I knew that I needed to come back to what I knew. So I actually went to a group one evening, and it was called, I can't even think, Fresh Start. That's what it was called. And I was like, hey, perfect, I need that. I had no idea actually that it was a recovery group, that I went to, and that first night that I showed up happened to be testimony night. And I sat in the back just because I wanted to be a part of it. I needed something, and they asked, hey, we'd really like it if everybody shared. There was no way I was sharing that night. I'm brand new, I don't know anyone, not happening. And so here I'm going through, one person shares, like 5 people share, 10 people share, and it was another lady and myself, and the lady said, I'll go first. So she went, and she shared a quote that absolutely changed my life that night. And it was a quote that said that the key to somebody's breakthrough is locked up inside your story that you're too scared to share. And it's so true. So my kind of advice would be to share it. Share the ugliness, the brokenness, because chances are somebody else actually is feeling the same way, and you're probably not as broken as you think you are, and you're not crazy. This is real life, real emotions, real situations, and there is somebody always worse off. So when we try to sit in those feelings on our own, our brain takes us and keeps us places that we shouldn't be longer than we should be. And so telling our story, getting it out, allows other people to actually be able to grip arms with us and pull us along. So needless to say, I ended up sharing my story that night as the last person to go, simply because of the quote that somebody shared that night. So, yeah, I think overcoming hard days is, I really learned in counseling that if you can learn to separate your emotions and almost treat them like people. So when you're having anger and frustration and whatever else emotions is, think of it like sitting at a table and giving each of them a turn to speak. Our emotions always have something to tell us, and we can learn a lot just by letting them speak. So really learning to separate your emotions individually and allow them time and just sitting in them. Oftentimes we want to fix them right away. If I'm angry, I want to fix it right away. If I'm frustrated, I can change things and fix it right away, rather than being able to sit in that and learn what it has to say. And I think that is what helps me get through things faster and helps me to overcome. Instead of it being a bad day, it's only a bad hour or a bad 30 minutes or a bad 5 minutes. So if I could change one thing about the situation, I would have done something sooner. Kind of back to with Suicide Awareness Month, we all want to share on Facebook or something like, if you need help, call these people, or if you want help, do this. After the fact, I had a lot of people that I didn't even know reach out to me. A lot of Deanna's friends reached out to me and said, man, I thought something, I wish I would have, and that phrase haunts me and haunts people. Like, I wish I would have done this. So I would say, instead of having that, I wish I would have, start with, I'm going to. So when if I get somebody put on my heart, I'm going to call them. I'm going to send them a text. I'm going to stop by their house. I'm going to be intentional about visiting them.
Was there anything else that you'd like to share with us?
I would just reiterate, the quote, that your story is important. It's a puzzle. And when one piece is missing, you can't put the puzzle together. So life goes on. Obviously, when somebody is gone, you have to carry on. But that's missing forever. So I would just say, share your story, especially if you've experienced and been on the side of suicide. Share your story, because somebody else can literally ride your courage and your story to their victory. And again, that's just us all linking arms and getting through it together.